Steel toes on the gravel, thermos by the door, kids art on the dashboard, same route as before. Cornfields like a calendar, mile markers as my clock. Lunch in a parking lot, talking weather, talking stock. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air. Scanner on my belt loop, barcodes in my dreams, forklifts doing slow dance between the yellow seams. Sign right here, small talk. How's your mom, how's the game? Faces change at every dock, but the handshake feels the same. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air. Storm line on the radar, snow dust in my hair. Boss says, can you make it? I'm already halfway there. All these pallets, all these stories, tied down with nylon straps. Somebody's hoe on a trailer, rolling past the county maps. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air.
Hello, Sage. This is Cody, or how, wait a minute. Is my name, Cody or Colby? I'm not really sure. So, I will, there in fact, internally, hang on a second, god damn it, I'm trying to, wait a minute. I think your name might be Sully. I don't fucking know what your goddamn real name is. Alright, give me a call back. Wait a minute. Sage. I'm sorry. Please don't record this.
I won't. I will not record this at all. That's a promise. That is a promise. Cody, you're Kobe, or I don't remember what your name is either. That makes two of us. Okay, we are back. It's Monday. Why the hell is this? All right, I'll back. It's Monday. It is a Monday, and we are back. Back at it. You know. Listen, let me tell you something. It is an interesting time up here in Maine. Right now, it's snowed, and all the trees and stuff are covered with that white snow, and it looks pretty outside. Problem is, my driveway is the worst to plow in the world, because it's more like a dirt track. And thank God I've got what is going on? Is something ringing? No. Thank God I've got a tractor, because if not, no one would plow my driveway. It's just, I've got two ruts and a high in the middle. I like it like that because you don't just roll up on me. You don't just drive up my driveway unless you have a purpose, and we can see you coming. So that was this weekend, where then I also had to bring in some more wood and things like that. Anyways, let's get the party started. Hello there, fine lady. How can I direct your...
Hey.
What?
You are not Kevin Costner.
Very true. I'm not Kevin Costner. This is Sage from the Sage Outcast Show, your logistics specialist. Also, we cover a lot of topics. Also, you're Middle American. I am categorizing myself as Middle American Sage. I like that now. I actually do. I find that interesting now because, well, you can actually take something that's condescending and turning it into a little bit better situation. But I do like that now. I do like the old Middle American Sage. And we have some Middle American mindset views today that I want to kind of bring to your attention. PSA, public service announcement. Would you stop doing that? God damn it, this kitten. She pulls the my headphone jack there thing with Jake. Anyways, basically, if you guys don't know, Misfit, Patriot, Misfit, we've covered it. Well, we haven't covered him. I've talked to him a couple times. I've triggered him a couple times by just dropping a couple words in the comments. I'd like to give him a public service announcement from me to you, Mr. Patriot Misfit. I'm currently down 25 pounds. I don't know if you know that or not. I've taken to his workout plan and just kind of basically walked around and got some blood flowing or something. I actually don't know what he told me to do. I can't remember. But I'm actually down 25 pounds, just so you guys know. I don't really care about that, but I just thought I'd bring that to your attention, which is kind of weird, to be completely honest, for me. Anyways, that also being said, I just wanted to bring that to his attention because that was his biggest upset with me, was the fact that he felt I was heavy. So, not what I was saying, not what I was bringing to his attention, nothing like that, not my points or anything like that, but he wasn't, I guess, maybe attracted to me as much because he felt I was overweight. Now, we fixed that problem. We're working with that. All right, that being said. So, listen, in regards to trucking and brokering and stuff like that, that's going to be on Tuesdays, probably Tuesdays and Fridays. Mondays is going to be probably the chaos from the news cycle weekends, which has just been getting wilder and wilder and wilder. It looks like Donald Trump is upset that he... I forgot to turn my camera on back here. Hang on. He didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, so he's no longer going to be peaceful. Yeah, that's he really said that. And so that's interesting. Also, we have Stephen Miller says that the authorities in Minnesota should stand down and surrender. He's basically said that only federal law enforcement officers are upholding the law. Local and state police have been ordered to stand down and surrender. Just thought that's kind of weird. If you not a dictatorship, that would be kind of weird, right? So that's being said out of people from the White House. That's a real thing. I thought that was kind of weird. It was up there for like a minute or two on Drudge, and then it disappeared in regards to the bishop, which I don't know what's going on with that. But I thought that was weird. I did thought that was weird. just so you guys know. Also, let me see if I can pull this up. Hang on. I don't know if you saw this also. Let me go here. Let me go here. All right. Did you guys? I just wanted to let you see that a Viking in a bathtub on wheels was being chased by. I thought that was kind of funny, actually. That's kind of funny, to be completely honest. I know it's probably AI, but I think that's fucking hysterical. Just so you know, the old Viking on skateboard wheels in a tub being chased by ice. Listen, and they said AI. They said this was I bet you think this is AI. Well, actually, probably is AI. But either way, it's funny. I did think that was funny. But yeah, so Minnesota's being told to stand down and surrender. That only federal law enforcement is important. That's kind of. Oh, I did have this already. That's kind of weird. But I thought that was an interesting thing. And then a couple other things I wanted to jump in before we talked about some of the stuff on the show. Was let me see, let me make sure this up. Was kind of this video, which I felt was this Anna Connolly is cool. It's at Anna Connolly is cool. I've been kind of watching some of her videos, and I don't know, I find them interesting.
Has anyone told you you're an idiot? Who are you, Greg?
Oh, hang on. Okay, so do you guys, if maybe you know this, maybe you don't know this, I have a person who watches the show named Goldfish. I don't really know his real name, but I think they figured it out. So listen. Goldfish was somebody who called in who failed the breakfast question, actually twice. I don't know how you failed the breakfast question twice, so you think you would learn the first time I do the breakfast question, but he didn't. So Goldfish basically calls in, and I have no idea who he really is. But it seems like Anna Connolly has figured out that Goldfish is Greg from Idaho. And she did a video on Greg from Idaho, and I'm going to go ahead and play it now. So, Goldfish, if you're paying attention, we figured you out.
Has anyone told you you're an idiot? Who are you? Greg from Idaho.
Greg from Idaho is my Goldfish, my caller Goldfish.
Hi, Greg from Idaho. And you have crazy lib eyes. What do those look like? Like wild and crazy. I like my eyes. You have such TDS. That's code for Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, no, I got that one.
Even the laugh she does is my Goldfish. That is hysterical. She's got to watch my show.
You're such an idiot. Anything else? You've been so radicalized you don't even see it. You messaged me,
yeah.
Greg from Idaho.
Right.
This is exactly why women shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
Has anyone told you you're an idiot? Who are you, Greg?
I think that is so Goldfish. Even the laugh, when Goldfish calls in and laughs, she does the exact Goldfish laugh.
From Idaho? Hi, Greg from Idaho.
Goldfish from Idaho, we're going to call him from now on. He will be known as Goldfish from Idaho. Hey, hang on, let me turn my game volume down, because that... Goldfish from Idaho. I love it. All right, we're going to move on.
And you have crazy lib eyes. What do those look like? Like wild and crazy. I like my eyes.
Yeah.
You have such TDS. That's code for Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, no, I got that one.
Classic. Oh, hang on.
You're such an idiot.
Okay.
Anything else? You've been so radicalized you don't even see it. You messaged me.
I'm going to clip that section of Greg from Idaho laughing, and every time Goldfish from Idaho calls in, can he call in? Well, he'll find a way. I'm going to play that, because I just thought that was classic. Okay. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about today, which we kind of needed to cover, and I thought would be important in a logistical, worldly event type. Oh, hang on. Worldly event type thing. So, one of the things that, I don't know if you guys saw this. Did you guys see that Donald Trump wants to make an executive order, or is going to put out an executive order that all credit card companies this is funny too, all credit card companies by January 20th have to lower their interest to 10%. An executive order. I want to make sure you guys understand this. Now remember, it's difficult for people to process who pays some of the credit card fees and stuff like that. We'll get to that in a minute. But executive orders are not laws, and they are only followed by federal agencies, federal offices, and things like that. They're not a law. And I know I'll check that in a minute. I know that you guys realize that we have kind of three branches of government. Well, some of you do. We have three branches of government, and we have one that's the legislative branch who technically passes laws that then head up the chain there for Trump to veto or the president to veto or sign, right? We understand that. So for this to happen, first of all, an executive order won't get this done, right? So you can't just threaten telling credit card companies to, give me that back, to basically say, lower your interest to 10%. Now, why? Well, because you would need a law saying that they could only charge 10%, by Congress, and then it would go up there. So he's going to do an executive orders forcing them to do that, or else, I don't know, maybe he'll tariff them. I don't know how that'll work. Maybe he'll put a tariff on them. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how that will work. So I don't know what the repercussions are if he doesn't, but they're finding out that Donald Trump might not know what he's talking about, because even the Speaker of the House, a Republican, has kind of come out and said, well, maybe we didn't quite think this one through. Maybe we didn't think this one through. So let me play that and just kind of
go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker. President Trump is proposing a 10% cap on credit card interest rates as a part of an affordability push.
Now, she's saying that President Trump is putting together a 10% cap on credit cards as an affordability push. Remember, a word that doesn't exist. Okay.
Support is in your caucus for that.
I talked with him about it briefly yesterday, and he is the president is the ideas guy, and what he's doggedly determined to do and laser focused upon.
The president is the ideas guy. Yeah, that's it. The ideas guy.
Doing is the same thing that we are, and that is reducing the cost of living, bringing down prices for the American people. And he's looking at every idea under the sun to do that.
Every idea to bring down costs. Got it. Okay, that sounds good. I'm on board with that.
It's one of a large menu of ideas that have been proposed as something we ought to think about and investigate. Since I had the conversation with him, I've talked to a number of colleagues about that and what that would mean, and
Do you guys think that the news is fake, including both Fox and CNN? No, I don't think it's fake. I think it's propagandized, but I believe when I'm watching, I don't believe it's fake. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of a blanket statement. I'm going to turn the phones on a little bit. Hang on.
Are there unintended consequences of that? And it's a complicated area. So I don't know. Like everything else, you would need legislation to do something like that.
First, you would need legislation. So even though they said, well, he's going to do an executive order forcing credit cards to do this, well, at least they're coming out and saying, well, no, you would need legislation to do this. Now, because I think what's happening here is credit card companies are coming back and saying, well, here's the deal. If you basically start to say, we can only charge 10% on interest, here's what we're going to do. We're just not going to loan money. We're just going to cancel cards. We're just going to deny more people access to credit because some people are riskier than other people. So if you have a risky credit history, you will be denied cards. You will have your credit lowered or canceled, or we just, things like that. We won't give you one.
We'd have a lot of work to build consensus around it, but you got to be very careful if you go forward in that. In our zeal to bring down costs, you don't want to have negative secondary effects of that. So, for example, one of the things that the president probably had not thought through, and others at first. Yeah,
something that he didn't think through. Now, let's see. Now, remember, they're saying that he has not thought this through. Now, luckily, they know that, guess what? This is not going to happen with an executive order. But also, I want you to keep this in mind. this was an idea that was brought forth by two people that I don't think the people on the right are going to appreciate, but we'll get to that.
First glance, it sounds great. We should bring down, interest rates to 10%. It would help everybody, all borrowers.
Sure.
There's a lot of Americans who have a lot of credit card debt. But then, what some of the experts have said is, well, but the problem is if you do that, then the credit card companies, the negative secondary effect is that they would just stop lending money and maybe.
Wait. So if you tell me that I can only remember, and let's think this through a little bit. Let's kind of think this through, and I have another video I'm going to play just to kind of confirm this. Credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, those are the credit card companies, okay? Those people have the cards that kind of they present to banks and say, use our card, use MasterCard, use this. They're not the ones giving the money. Banks are giving the money. Banks, right? You get credit cards from banks. So the credit card companies charge either a service fee or a small amount for the being able to use their cards, right? Easy access to the card. That's what they charge. The banks are the ones charging the money. The banks. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all this other stuff. Credit card rewards are given by not the cards, but the banks. Service fees, annual fees and things like that are not charged by the credit card companies. They're charged by the banks. So, if you were to tell somebody, or a credit card or a bank, hey, even though this person is a higher risk, they have a bad credit score, they could default or they are defaulting, things like that. If you were to go to them and say, even though you have a risk of this person not paying their bills, you can only charge 10%, what do you think one of the things that they would probably do, or not do, to the people that would be higher risk? And who's higher risk with credit cards? Think about that. Well, they'd probably say, we're not going to give them a credit card. If I can't, for 1 year, we're just going to not give you any credit cards. We're going to cancel your credit cards. We're going to go ahead and drop them down. Instead of having a $2,500 or $3,000, we're going to drop it all down to, I don't know, $500. We're going to charge annual fees. We're going to make it harder. Now, how does this affect? Well, this affects business owners, people that, use credit cards to finance some of their aspects of their business and things like that. Now, remember, it's not the credit card companies, it's the banks. And the banks are just going to say, well, if I can make more money just giving a loan and then taking money and putting it in the stock market, because banks have departments that trade in the stock market, I'm not going, which would make the stock market. Now, would that improve the stock market? Yes, probably. Because if I can't make money issuing credit cards, they're going to find other places to put their money. So that might help the people that use the stock market more, because they're not loaning money to risky people with bad credit because they can't make their money back when they don't pay. I guess this is something that allegedly the Trump administration didn't think about.
They cap what.
So do you think Donald Trump would think about things that might help him in like stock markets or personal loan, business loans and things like that, like the Trump family? Maybe.
People are able to borrow that they would just, if you do that,
yeah.
Then the credit card companies, the negative secondary effect is that they would just stop lending money and maybe they cap what people are able to borrow at a very low amount. And then that would have a negative effect on a lot of people who work on revolving credit. So
negative credit on like businesses, small businesses, like we seem to be. So if you're running a small business, if you're running a trucking company, if you're running a logistical company, if you're doing stuff like that, you're going to want to pay attention to things like this. Because now again, this would have to be a law. This would, this is not something Donald Trump can actually do, thank God, through an executive order. So we're kind of safe with, we're safe with that allegedly, because there seems to be a lot of things that you can't do through executive orders that he seems to be trying to do. But just kind of paying attention.
It's something that we got to be very deliberate about. The president understands that. He wants us to do the right thing by Americans. When he says America first, it comes from a sincere place in his heart and all of us. And what I love about this president is he's willing to think outside the box and propose ideas for us to work through to see if it will actually achieve the desired objective. And that's what we're in the process of doing every day around here. So, again, I wouldn't get too spun up about, ideas that are out of the box, that are proposed or suggested. The thing about this president is he's totally transparent. And
now, this isn't an idea where he comes forward and says, look, we're trying to see what we can do about credit cards. We're trying to see what we can do about interest rates with credit cards and things like that. This is a president that came out and said, you credit card companies, you have until January 20th to put a 1-year 10% maximum credit card limit, or I'm issuing an executive order to do that. I think there's a difference between proposing ideas and threatening executive orders for something technically you can't do, right? I mean, I'm just kind of...
He says often what he's thinking out loud. This is unusual because most presidents like Biden, we couldn't get anything out of him for 4 years. We didn't know what he was thinking, if he was thinking at all.
Okay.
So it's jarring for some Americans to hear a president who just says go, 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 go 24 hours a day to help the American people.
Yeah, sometimes it can be just as bad to have a president who sounds like he's, starting to reach parts of dementia.
And we're working through those ideas, and that's one of them we'll work through. Thank you.
All right. Now, don't believe me, Sage. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. Okay.
President Trump has announced that he wants to limit credit card interest rates to 10% for 1 year, starting on January 20th. In today's video, let's discuss, is this really going to happen, or is this all just talk? And what would the pros and cons be?
And then we're going to talk a little bit about low IQ perspectives towards certain things. I got one for you. I got one for you after this.
So let's begin by going to the source. Here's what President Trump posted on the evening of January 9th. So he wrote, "Please be informed that we will no longer let the American public be ripped off by credit card companies that are charging interest rates of 20 to 30% and even more."
Okay, first of all, it's not the credit card companies. It's banks. It's banks, okay?
Effective January 20th, 2026, I, as President of the United States, am calling for a 1-year cap on credit card interest rates of 10%.
Okay.
Okay, so notice that President Trump never said that he's going to do it. President Trump said that he's calling for a 1-year cap. So in other words, he's not making any promises.
Listen, I am calling for a ban on broker transparency for the rest of my life.
I mean, if you think about it, anyone can call for anything.
Yeah.
Calling for simply means that he's...
It has declined. It has declined. Sorry. It is 100% declined. Call in. Oh, you can't call in. Well, try calling in anyways. I'll get to you in a minute.
Requesting something. Like, I can call for anything too. I can call for world peace. I can call for the end of world hunger. Like, is anything going to result from my request?
Sometimes it's not that it's declined. It's that it's gone over your head. Just letting you know. Now some of the information might be going over your head.
Probably not. Now,
there.
President Trump is saying that he wants to limit the interest rate on credit cards in order to help consumers and Americans that are in credit card debt.
Again, if you are self-employed, if you have a business, and you use credit to basically purchase goods for your business and things like that, even though you pay every month, even though you might have a balance on there, this is something that credit card companies and banks might look at that and say, well, we're going to have to bump you down in your credit line because we want to make sure that we're only getting 10%. And there's a risk to that. So if this were to go to Felicia, this is something that as a business owner, you definitely want to make sure you completely understand this, right? And this is why I'm kind of bringing this topic up, because a lot of business owners use credit cards to make their business go, to be honest. You see what I'm saying? So, And
I want to show you how big of an impact that this would have. First, I want to show you this chart showing how much credit card debt Americans are in. I mean, just take a look at the chart. It is wild.
Wild.
Americans are in more credit card debts than ever before. So did you know that half of American credit card holders do not pay their full balance every month? meaning that they're subject to those high interest rate charges. Credit card debt in the US has hit a record high of $1.2 trillion. And the average APR on a credit card right now in early 2026 is about 20.
Oh, hang on. I can fix the problem. Let me fix the problem. It's not really a problem, but hang on. I can fix the issue in regards to the Sage Outcast show. Now we're going to do this here. Done.
22%. So if credit card interest rates were capped at 10%, then it would save Americans $144 billion in interest payments. And that would mean that Americans would have an extra $144 billion a year that we could use on paying down debt, daily expenditures, or discretionary income. I mean, that's a lot of money. That sounds great, right? But just think about it practically. Like, who's going to be on the other end of that $144 billion? Okay, so here's how it works. When you pay interest on a credit card balance, that interest goes primarily to the bank.
To the bank. Not the credit card company, to the bank.
Issued your card. Not the credit card network, not like Visa or MasterCard. So when you pay interest on your credit card, it's going to JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, etc. And of course, as I stated, it's a lot of money. Now, do you think those banks are thrilled about this idea? And I would say no, because it's going to hurt their income and their profits. And of course, many of the banks have politicians in their pockets. And
right, so the banks are going to look at that and say, well, because remember, all businesses need to make profits. All businesses need to make profits. How business functions, right? I hear this all the time. So basically, the banks are going to find other ways to make profits, right? They're going to eliminate their risk, which that's what businesses do, try to eliminate risk, or you have to pay for that risk, with a higher interest rate. Or if they're not making money here, they're going to start making money someplace else, which could be annual fees, things like that.
With that being said, that brings us to a very important question. Can President Trump issue an executive order to limit credit card interest rates to 10%? And the answer is no.
No, because an executive order is not a law. It's an executive order that federal employees and things like that have to follow. It's not a law.
I mean, he could issue an executive order, but it wouldn't be legally enforceable. And then the banks would, they take it to court.
I'm older than you and probably more educated. Maybe. It's a good possibility. But then again, probably not.
And they'd have it overturned. Therefore,
what part am I wrong about here? Then maybe you can educate me.
In order to regulate...
You know what's funny is I'm not the only one saying this when other people say it also.
And the banks would, they take it to court and they'd have it overturned. Therefore, in order to regulate private lending rates, Congress has to vote on it, approve it, and pass it into law. And at the
Congress has to pass it, vote on it, pass it into law. Then the president can sign it or veto it.
At the time of making this video, President Trump has not issued an executive order, although there's some talks of him attempting to do so. Okay, but I just want you to know that Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have already attempted to limit credit card interest rates through Congress.
So Bernie Sanders and AOC wanted to try to get this law passed to limit credit card interest rate before. Okay.
So this is nothing new.
Nothing new. Got it?
Months ago, Senator Bernie Sanders released a plan that would cap credit card interest rates to 10% for 5 years. And of course, that never materialized. And Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced a bill in March of 2025, capping credit card interest rates at 10%. However,
so that 10% number, got it.
It failed to gain traction in Congress. Okay, so President...
Yeah, well, no, I didn't say the whole show. Most of the show.
President Trump is in talks with certain members of Congress to potentially create legislation to get this voted on. Senator Marshall said that he discussed the situation with President Trump on Friday night. Senator Marshall said, and I quote, "This effort is to lower costs for American families and to rein in greedy credit card companies who have been ripping off hardworking Americans for too long." So listen, I just want you to understand this very clearly, that right now, all this talk is just a concept, just like the $2,000 Doge stimulus check or the $2,000 tariff dividends. So I would say, honestly speaking, don't get too excited. Now, I want to show you how the banks are reacting to all of this. And this is coming from the Bank Policy Institute. They say, "We share the president's goal of helping Americans access more affordable credits. At the same time, evidence shows that a 10% interest rate cap would reduce credit availability and be devastating for millions of American families and small businesses who rely on and value their credit cards. My opinion is that although that may be true to some extent, I mean, I'm just talking honestly, I believe that it just all boils down to the money. It's about the income, it's about the profits for the banks. That's all that it is. So of course they're going to put out a statement like that to sugarcoat the whole situation. Now, I do want to point this out, and this may disappoint a lot of people because I know that this topic's like so sensitive. It's important to so many people. So let's just say that this does actually happen, a 10% limit, 10% cap.
Okay.
That means that the banks will make much less money, right? And of course, they're going to try to make up for it, right? What are they going to do? They're going to find other ways to make money off us, and they're also going to try to save on costs.
Right. So they're going to find other ways to make up for it, right? So network fees, processing fees, getting rid of reward funding, things like that.
So did you know that it's not the credit card companies that pay you the credit card rewards? Like I'm talking about the cashback, the miles, the points. It's not them. It's the banks. So your credit card rewards are not coming from Visa. They're not coming from MasterCard. They're being funded by JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, etc., the issuing bank. So that rewards money is coming out of the pockets of the banks because, well, they're making so much money off these credit cards with their interchange fees and their interest charges. So if the banks make less money on credit cards, then those credit card rewards will either be greatly reduced or discontinued. So that's something I think about because, again, I know that's so important to so many people. And here's some of the other potential.
All right, let me turn the phones on. Hang on, that's cut sound. Let me,
His number, 856-600-4654. Sage Outcast. I have questions.
I do.
Downsides of a 10% cap on credit card interest rates. So this is basically what the banks are arguing for, not doing this. This is essentially, I just want to share with you what the banks are saying. Okay, so for people that have a lower credit score or are considered higher risk, they end up with the higher interest rates, right? Now, if the banks are capped at charging a rate of 10%, then they're saying that fewer people would be approved for a credit card. They're saying that people would have lower credit limits, and many people that are considered riskier, who would normally be charged higher than 10%, would have their credit cards canceled.
That's interesting. So basically the banks are saying, not a problem. We're going to lower approvals. Like, so if you were able to get a credit card before, well, you're not able to get one now. Reduce credit limits. Basically saying, hey, we were going to give you $2,000, but we're only going to give you $1,000 because we have to, guess what? Because we can't charge more for a riskier situation. We're not going to issue risky situations, right? Again, and this is, if you're using this for business or stuff like that, this can be a big deal.
And I just want to say that, well, personally, I've had one of my credit cards canceled. Like, it wasn't due to being risky. It was actually due to inactivity.
Yeah, they do that too. If you don't use if you get a credit card and you don't use a credit card, they're like, screw you, canceled.
But what I'm saying is, yes, they can cancel your credit cards. And then to make up for lost revenue, like, what the banks are going to do. They're just going to increase their fees, annual fees, late fees, balance transfer fees, etc. Okay, now putting all this together,
right?
Where does this leave us?
I don't know.
The Trump proposal for a 10% interest rate cap, of course, is going to be a dramatic and headline-grabbing idea, right? But as I told you, it faces serious hurdles. Congress must pass a law. There have been multiple attempts in Congress in recent years, but none of them have succeeded at the federal level. So some political observers, they believe that Trump is just trying to make a political statement to rally support ahead of the midterm elections. And others believe that President Trump is genuinely trying to lay the groundwork for future legislation to actually have this go through. But you can let me know what you think is going on here. That's the situation. If there's any new developments on this, I'll be sure to let you know. Please subscribe. Thank you.
Okay. Phone lines are open, Sonia.
His number, 856-600-4654. Sage Outcast. I have questions.
Okay. All right. Let's get rid of this one here. I can get rid of this one here. I can get rid of Stephen Miller. We'll leave that up, but we'll come back to that. I mean, this is up here. We got rid of that. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about today was, listen, let me see if I can explain this. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I'm going to explain it, and I'm also going to bring up this here. Let me click on this here. All right. Hang on right there. Okay. So one of the things that I want to try to explain is in regards to what I consider, or not just me, but what is kind of considered a low IQ approach to go to information and seek and things like that, right? So if if you use, and I've talked about this, one of the approaches that was being made in regards to the daycare centers and the fraud in Minnesota and things like that was a low IQ approach, right? And it's based on your feelings. It's based on I had a gut feeling, or on instincts and things like that. And I know this fires up a lot of people, and I understand. But we're seeing this more and more, or I'm starting to notice it more and more, because that's kind of how things work. Is once I watch other people, I take in information, and then I say, okay, that's interesting. Let me see if I can see that, over and over and over and over happening, to kind of eventually establish that, oh yeah, that is a consistent thing, right? So if you were to look at a situation and you were to say, I feel, or based on my instinct or my gut feeling or whatever you want, that something is, this is your answer, right? So the Somalian thing was being done, and I'm going to play another video, that there's fraud being done in daycare centers in Minnesota, and there's fraud being done. And if I were to say, well, what evidence do you have of that? What proof do you have of that? And your answer is, well, I can just tell, or I just have a feeling, or you can just see it. That is a low IQ interpretation of that. And I'm going to show you where Matt Walsh is doing this. And I'm starting to, like I said, I can bring up other evidence of this. I can bring evidence of this in trucking. And what's happening is we're now making this approach more common in regards to different, not everybody, but enough people that it should be pointed out. That you can't look at something and say, now you can get an instinct, you can get a hunch, you can get a gut feeling, but that gut feeling should lead you someplace else in regards to either doing some research, finding the data, collecting the numbers, where you can say, with repetitive, outcomes, here's why this happened, and here, over and over and over, I can actually follow the path. So I'm going to play this video. This is only like 3 minutes long. So this is kind of Destiny also explaining it to a caller who called in from Asmongold, that Asmongold is another gamer that basically he's got followers, and he's starting to do politics now. And not the brightest bulb in the bunch in regards to politics, but I'm finding out that, it makes it harder. All right, let me play this real quick. And it's going to take some seconds here because I have to do this. Let me do this. Okay.
Look, it's obvious there's fraud. I don't think that's really an
Why you
argument.
keep saying that with no proof, though, right? That's like a low IQ position, right?
There's fraud, and they're talking about the daycare centers. There's fraud, and Destiny comes out and says, well, you keep saying that without proof. That's a low IQ position.
Low IQ position.
To keep saying that it's obvious there's a thing, but I have no proof of the thing. That's like a super standard, like low IQ, like 75 IQ take, right? Like I can't, like this thing must be true because I think it's true and I have no proof for it, but I think it's true, right?
You can call it low IQ, but if we arrive at the correct outcome, then it's not really low IQ. It's just
that's an even lower IQ take, right?
Yes, that's an even lower. If we arrive at the same outcome, or the right outcome, that's even lower IQ.
Do you know how to do like exponents? Like if I say like, how do you calculate an exponent, and you multiply the exponent times the number, and you say, well, 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 squared is 4, and that's how that works. Just because you get the right answer doesn't mean you used a good process, right?
Right, because when you start to investigate, or you start to take on that extra, the higher IQ level of processing information, you take things to higher and higher and higher levels. You can't just say, I think, therefore it is.
Challenge you to look at the graph that Asmongold made. You fall under the middle category where you look at data and research for everything. I fall under all the way to the end where we say it's obvious.
Think about that argument. You fall into the category that you research and collect data. I fall into the category that I just say it's obvious.
Yeah, that's called the low IQ position, right? Like, correct. You don't need IQ to do things that are obvious and self-evident. That's just like an instinctual. That's like a low IQ position. It's okay if you want to have the low IQ position. That's fine. But I don't know why you would brag about it. I don't know why you think it would be good.
Okay.
Why are you defending a...
Why am I defending what? High IQ positions?
How is that a low IQ position?
How is it a low IQ position to say I just go by my gut?
At the correct outcome?
Arriving, because you don't arrive at the correct outcome consistently if you just rely on your gut, even if you might get it right every now and then.
What Admirgold says that isn't true?
His claims are so vacuous, it's hard to say if there's a truth.
Okay, and then he goes down the path. So, but basically what he's saying is that you have to do further research, collect data to establish something to be true, like the fraud, rather than just go with, well, my gut. Okay? Now, why do I bring this up? We're gonna go with him, Matt Walsh, and I'm gonna play Valhalla VTF, VFT. I'm sorry. Matt Walsh came out and in regards to vets, meaning military vets, and said that if you are 100% disabled. Actually, I'm going to do another video too. If you are 100% disabled as a military vet, you should not be able to work. And says that vets are now committing, well, not now committing, but there's fraud if you are 100% disabled as a vet, like a combat vet, and still working. This is actually a shorter one. I think I'm going to play this one also. Stop. Don't move. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Get over here. Okay. Now, this is the low IQ approach. The low IQ approach to this situation. And now we're starting to see it more and more. Hey, if you're getting 100% disability from a vet, as a vet, you shouldn't be able to work. You should be 100% disabled. Low IQ approach to looking at what a disabled vet, combat vet, or disabled veteran, what that actually means. Okay.
Operates on an honor system where if you say you're disabled.
So this kind of pissed me off. Now, I've gone back and forth with somebody to try to explain this same thing. I explained the same thing in a Discord to somebody, and I was shot down. Now Matt Walsh is saying the same thing. This was just a couple days ago. I went back and forth in a Discord a couple weeks ago or a week ago or something. I don't even know. Before.
To them at all. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Hang on.
The money just starts flowing.
There's either two possibilities.
All right, here we go.
Apparently the VA basically operates on an honor system where if you say you're disabled, the money just starts flowing.
There's either...
No. First of all, I am a vet. I am trying to receive disability for my shoulder that literally I tore a rotator cuff while training, doing law enforcement training, while in the United States Coast Guard. Okay? I had surgery while in the United States Coast Guard. I was put on, obviously, restricted duty for a little bit while it healed. And today, it was better for a good amount of time. It wasn't as bad. Like, what would happen is every time I'd raise my arm, I was doing training, and I kind of by a big guy who kind of threw me down on the ground and tore, got underneath here and put my shoulder in a position that it tore the rotator cuff. So I got surgery to, I guess where they go in with a laser or something. I don't know. They knocked me out with gas. Then again, I believe so. And then basically, I know I was knocked out, but I don't remember if they hit me with a brick. They might have wanted to hit me with a brick. Anyways, they knocked me out with gas, and they went in with laser surgery and fixed it. So I had to get MRIs and all this other stuff, and I was in the Coast Guard when this happened. This isn't something that I got later on. Had to get surgery while in the Coast Guard. It was pretty bad. Well, I couldn't raise my arm. When I went to try to qualify, I qualified with a handgun because it was my left shoulder, and I'm right-handed for shooting. When I tried to qualify, I qualified with a handgun. I still qualified with a shotgun. When I tried to qualify with the M16, you had to do basic this basic course, and they put you in different positions, prone and stuff like that. I couldn't get the gun up while laying on the ground into the position when we had the strap. Anyways, it's the way you have to shoot. I couldn't get the gun on sight to be able to hit the target because my shoulder hurt too bad. I couldn't do it. Like, there was no way I could stabilize the gun, and it would pop on me. So at that point, they're like, well, you're going to have to get the surgery. I'm like, all right, I'll get surgery. So then I got the surgery done. So obviously when I was younger, it wasn't a big deal. You kind of worked through the pain and it popped. Well, now that I'm getting older, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, and I'm fine with this shoulder, but it's just this shoulder here from the surgery. I don't think it's not tore again because it's not the same feeling. It's just, tissue builds up and stuff like that it's just getting worse and worse. Now, so I am now in a fight to basically try to prove that actually happened. They want all the paperwork. I got to go from, and it's difficult for me. This is just me. So money doesn't just flow, Matt Walsh. That's a low IQ position. You are literally arguing something that you have absolutely no evidence from, that you watched a video and all you got was two people in a video, and now you're saying that this happens without any verification, any evidence, any proof. Low IQ position. Okay. So then I have to go to about 100 miles one way to go to a VA to have my shoulder looked at. My issue with that is my wife can't really go anyplace. She's agoraphobic and panic attacks, anxiety, separation anxiety, all stuff like that. She's been medicated for years. So I can't just travel to go and do that. So I'm trying to get them to say, well, why can't I just go to the local doctor or in local hospital, get you my MRIs, send that to the VA hospital where then they can take a look at it. I can do why can't I just do consultations in regards to via stream or Zoom, something like that. And you can confirm with my doctor and then confirm with the hospital up here. We're sending the MRIs. You can still read the MRIs. Like, what magical powers do you have down there that can't be done at my local hospital? We have everything here. Like, we have an MRI machine. They've got all these machines. So there's a fight that I now have to send in a bunch of more paperwork. I have to submit more stuff. It is not just I say I hurt my shoulder, and I literally did this and had surgery while in the military. Like, they have all those records. Those records are all, they have those somewhere. Right? They have them somewhere. So all those can be pulled from the hospital, everything else. Those can all be pulled. So I am trying to get benefits because of this, because understand how this works with the VA. When you are disabled, it is not like I can't work. It is, what did you, the military, take from me that I'm never going to get back? Right? You did this to me. It's like you can't sue for workman's comp, stuff like that. So it is literally you, the military, put me through shit that got me hurt, and now I'm never going to get that back. Now, and that's not just me. That's any vet that's claiming disability. Is it mental disability? Is it physical disability? Like, what did you take that basically made it that I now, because of me going to boot camp and serving the country, because like I said, I was in the Coast Guard. What happened to me while I was in? Something that a very small percentage of people do, join the military. What happened there? Okay. Now, Matt Walsh, low IQ approach.
There are two possibilities here. Either Matt Walsh didn't take 10 minutes and use AI to figure out VA disability law, or he's misleading us.
So now you have to decide, is it a low IQ approach? Which I believe it's the low IQ approach. I believe Matt Walsh didn't take 10 minutes to do any type of research to find out what he was talking about. He just watched a video and said, wow, my instincts say that there's fraud, and lots of it.
But what's interesting about Plattner is not the tattoo. What's interesting...
Now he's talking about the somebody from Maine running for Senate.
About
Graham Plattner.
Is that, as of now, he has a disability rating of 100% from the Department of Veterans Affairs, which stems from his deployment to Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, publicly, Plattner has said that these benefits amount to roughly $5,000 a month or about $60,000 a year. Now,
yes. Now, probably with everything. That would include medical benefits. That would include money, basically.
Now, wait a minute, you might say. 100% disability. How can someone who is 100% disabled, to the point that they receive a substantial amount of cash every year from the taxpayer, possibly serve as a U.S. senator? Like, what does the term 100% mean?
Wow. Well, I don't know. You could look it up, or you could approach this from, like I said, his feelings rather than facts.
Because when I hear that, I think, oh, totally disabled.
Okay. These are his feelings. When he hears this, he feels that this is totally disabled. What do the facts say about that?
Like you are not able to do anything, and yet you can serve as a U.S. senator? 100% disabled, he's got a full-time job, and he's running for Senate. 100% disabled. Now, in response, you might point out that under our current laws, it's possible to receive $60,000 a year with 100% disability while also working full-time in an extremely demanding job and obviously not being 100% disabled. And that's probably true. I'm not an expert in disability law, but
Why would you go down this path as the Daily Wire? And he's going to proceed to go on to say that people are faking it. There's a way to work the system. The system is all based on good faith.
Now, all systems can be worked. I'm not going to argue with that. I am not going to argue with that. But I don't know if you would take somebody who did 4 combat tours as a Marine and say, he's faking it.
Which you guys know. If you're a veteran, tell me if the system's based on good faith.
It is not based. I'm a veteran. It is not based on good faith. I can't just say, my shoulder hurts. I want money. Nope.
And not records, MRIs, reports. He just doesn't know.
And say with absolute confidence that it should not be true. If you're capable of becoming a U.S. senator, and if you're capable of working on a boat for a living, then you are not 100% disabled, and you don't need $60,000 from the taxpayer on account of your...
Now, Social Security disability is completely different than military disability.
Disability, period. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran, doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. This is just a matter of common sense. It's a matter of, like, words mean things. 100% disabled means you shouldn't be working on a boat every day.
No, 100% Social Security disability is different than vet disability.
Words do mean things, and that's the reason he should reference the law, 38 CFR, and looked at it. You may not like...
You mean facts over feelings? You mean high IQ approach of actually looking into something and determining and learning and researching and processing where you can get the answers? That approach? No. Too many low IQ approaches.
100% disabled, that term, and what it means in law, but it is codified in law. Instead of taking that time from a big organization that makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year, no, instead he's going to denigrate and say this man is faking it, and he shouldn't get it because Matt Walsh said so.
But Graham Plattner, of course, is just one example of a much, much larger trend. Disability fraud in this country is rampant, and it's extremely expensive, particularly when it comes...
Now remember, he started... Well, I forgot to context this. He started this fraud as the same by talking about Somalian the fraud that the Somalians are doing. And then he went into, and another thing is veteran fraud. Now, again, it's funny because when I brought this up in a Discord as an example of something that they could do, I was talked down to. But now here's Matt Walsh literally doing it.
To the VA. Something like 7% of our taxes go to VA benefits. And you have to wonder how much of that is unnecessary spending on men like Graham Plattner. How much money are we sending to fraudsters at the VA instead of actual American service members who could use the money for their own legitimate medical care?
He's just repeating the Washington Post article on this. Fraudsters at the VA. That's all we have here. We don't have any hard facts. I know a lot of veterans will say...
We have no hard facts. Fraudsters at the VA. Low IQ approach. Remember? Fraudsters at the VA. Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Where's the documentation? Because I would like to go after them. If you can bring me evidence, let's go after those people. But you're just going to say, hey, this guy, and start putting your low IQ feelings approach on things, and people eat this up. This is propaganda. This is propagandizing this. Now, this is kind of going the wrong way because this one's not going to go as well as, you know, the Somalian train. Because a lot of people are like, whoa, stand by there, soldier. Oh, wait a minute. You weren't a soldier. Stand by there, non-soldier, non-member of the military.
Oh, my buddy, he's a faker. He's got 100%, but no one knows what was in his records. No one knows his real rating. There's some things we don't know. So people talk about VA and ratings. Often people,
You pledge your full grand alliance to President Trump. Got it. I have no idea where that came from. You're a cult.
buddy's not telling you the entire truth.
Now, admittedly, from a political perspective, it's not as easy to go after fraudsters in the VA compared to, say, Minnesota, who can't even speak English. But it's arguably a lot more important to do so, especially since it's a more common and more expensive problem.
20 years in the GWAT. You don't think we're going to have more VA needs than ever?
Now, what does he mean by that? Right now, they're looking at this and they're saying, you know, from 2000 to 2020, more people were coming for veteran disabilities now than there was in like the 1990s, 80s, and stuff like that. Does anybody have an idea why that might be? Does anybody have an idea on why more people would be coming for veteran benefits from the year 2000 to 2020? You know, because that was a. Do you think it has anything to do with the war on terrorism or endless going to Afghanistan or all these basic conflicts that we went over and we started doing? That think it has anything to do with that? Or no, probably not. You know, just saying.
And then they don't want to take care of the troops. And they want to call them fraudsters.
And again, it's wasting resources that should be used to treat and assist veterans who actually need it. But apparently the VA basically operates on an honor system where if you say you're disabled, the money just starts flowing.
God, show me that VA system, because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it for something that I literally have all of the documentation from. That literally happened to me when in the military. The surgery happened to me while in the military. The reports written by my command, basically, while in the military. All of this stuff happened while in the military. Can you explain that to me?
Watch.
Walsh is smarter than this doughy guy. I can tell you were not in the military.
That's just not true. Anybody here knows that.
Yes, that's just not true. I have got to, the first thing I have to do is sign up and submit everything basically, you know, for them to take a look at. Then they reach out to me and they say, okay, you're going to have to go here to a doctor for us to look at that and, you know, talk to the doctor. And then you're going to have to submit all the paperwork from when it happened. And then you're going to have to get a new MRI. And then, well, for me at least, I have to get a new MRI done. And it has to be down there. I don't know why it can't be done here. Why do I have to drive 100 miles when we have the machines here? And then you could just send the paperwork to them. So it's not just, hey, I hurt myself, give me money. That's a lie. Again, now we're going to have people in the chat that are going to basically say, well, Walsh knows more. Well, I just proved that was a liar. That's a lie, because I can bring on lots of vets, and they will all tell you, no, it wasn't just, I hurt myself, give me money.
I won't bore you with how it works. You can use the AI or Google, look it up. But I
bored you. I bored you with how it works, partially.
Of you who made a claim, there's got to be a record. There's very few things that are on the honor system.
Nothing. Nothing's on the honor system. Not even when it happened and they have the paperwork. It's still not on the honor system.
Typically, we'll call it, you've had to seek treatment for them, and mental health is one of them. But what is he talking about? The VA does not work on the honor system. He knows that, or he should know that. I'm going to hold him to the standard of he knows the answer.
I'm in a VA. If you're a VA attorney, that I'm wrong, or are you arguing with somebody else? Because it's not easy to get this shit.
He's choosing to not be truthful with us. Because I'm not thinking he did not spend the time, or someone who edited this video, to say, I think you're probably wrong, Matt.
How are you making money? Oh, I'm a VA disability with dependents. We have 2 kids.
Right. Okay. 4,700 twice a month?
No.
Okay. So she has VA. She gets VA. She's a disabled vet, and she has 2 kids. and she gets disability. I think this is her husband over here, he is still in. So he gets paid. The military, you get paid twice a month, 1st and 15th. So someone else, gotcha. He is probably still getting paid. He's probably I don't know what he is, but he's probably an officer. So and they might have met while they were in. She's getting disability, 47. He is still in the military and getting paid twice a month.
I make $4,700 once a month, and he makes $3,600 twice a month.
Now he might be getting that $3,600. He might not even be an officer. He might be getting housing plus base pay. I don't know what rank he is for me to know, what he's getting. So you look at a $3,600, like, oh, that's good money. Well, that might be housing allowance plus, and because they might not live in government housing, plus base pay. And that's, like I said, so I have no idea what rank he is. Shit, he could be an officer. Shit, he could be an E9 for all I know.
Equals between 11 and 12.
Are you going to get disability too?
Oh, yes, I will.
There is not a single veteran that has come on the show that does not just get endless money for the rest of their life with disability.
No, that's not true either. It's not endless. Now, you can get categorized for that, but it's not endless for everybody. But the problem is that I find this funny is because when he says something like, I don't know a vet that doesn't get endless money, that's not true. I wasn't getting any money since I've been out in 2004, and then the PACT Act made it where I could basically say, okay, yeah, I was hurt. But do you understand why a lot of them get disability? Is because the military doesn't give a shit about your body because they can just, draft another one of you or, bring in another one of you, and they beat the piss out of you. Like, they literally beat the piss out of you, to be honest, at a younger age. That's why they want military-age people, because you hopefully can recruit faster. Like, the things that they're doing, either from a mental state, because remember, you can get disability from post-traumatic stress because some of these people can't function in society after watching their friends get blown up next to them and things like that. So it is something that I love it when people are like, well, we should take care of our vets. And then when it comes to taking care of your vets, we're like, well, we should look into this because I don't know. I don't know if we should take care of our vets.
You're seeing is a small segment of the people who serve in the military who aren't getting disability. And this fella here, the finance guy, highlights it over and over.
Now zoom out beyond the VA and the hundreds of billions.
Now again, Matt Walsh watched a video where somebody said that, well, what do you do? Well, I'm getting disability and my husband gets it, he's still in the military. And they're going to say, well, are you going to get disability? He probably will. Now, will he get 100%? I don't know. I don't know his injuries. But it goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay? So you can put in, like my shoulder is not 100, right? I would be honest enough to say it's not 100. Now, but there's a percentage that they're going to put in. They're going to say, well, it's worth this much. And I'm going to get that much money a month because they did this to me, right? They did this to me, all right? I did it while doing things for them, for the government, for the country, right? And I believe that everyone that goes into the military is going to get some type of damage to their body. It's just going to happen. Well, not everyone, obviously. Let's think something. Let me rephrase that. A good proportion of people that enter, especially if you're doing combat or you're doing active duty, things like that, where you're doing that every day. And it could be people that aren't, technically. You could be doing carpal tunnel from freaking I don't know what it is in any other branch, but we have yeomans, right? And a yeoman's like the paper pushers for the Coast Guard. And I don't know what it is in every other branch. A lot of the Navy lines up with Coast Guard stuff, but I don't know what the Army people are. I wasn't in the Army, right? And things like that. Shoulder usually do about 20%, could be more. Yeah, so 20%, right? Now, again, this is something that I'm having a hard time fighting because, like I said, because my wife can't travel, but I have tons of documentation in regards to that, and I'm trying to get this pushed. So that should be worth like 20%. Sure, could be right. And that would be, like I said, that's something that, it just wasn't a huge factor for me until I started to get older. And then it's like, God damn, this thing hurts again. And it does. It hurts. There's mornings where I wake up and I can't even lift my arm above my shoulder. Like I can today. It's fairly loose. But like rain, all that other shit, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And where this one's fine. This one's no problem. This one hurts. When I wake up in the morning, depending on how I slept, it could be stiff for the rest of the day. And then once in a while, I'll feel that same popping, which I believe is like that when they did the surgery, I don't know if this is what I've just been told, that a possibility it could be. I haven't had the MRI done yet. It could be from the surgery. Basically, it scar tissue stuff builds up in there and so on, so on, so on. But that's the doctor shit.
Dollars we spend there, and the problem becomes substantially worse. So
the Daily Wire and Matt Walsh want to take the position, we need to spend more time making it more complex, because you know what happens here? The overcorrection is so radical that we go back to like VA Vietnam era, where nobody gets a claim through. In my experience, I want to hear yours. I'd have records of time I was in service and I was injured, and there's either a scan, there's an x-ray, there's something of the nature that would show I hurt myself when I was in, and here's where it's at. I don't know what he's talking about, and nor does he.
Exactly. He does not know what he's talking about. And rather than again, this is the low IQ approach to this. I don't know what I'm talking about. I watched a video, and I feel that this is going on. Rather than say, oh, that's interesting. Let me look into that. And I have one more on this one, too, because, again, I can listen to people I don't like. And I can at least listen to what they say and let them process information and see if the words that they're putting out are true, and take the feelings out of it. And I have let me rescribe this guy. I've watched this guy in regards to the shooter for the unaliving of Kirk. I've watched a couple videos for him, and let me open this up. So when people are basically sitting there saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Look, man, he's going to explain it.
This piece of shit's got no problem sending $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer dollars to our greatest allies' military. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to compensating some service member who's got both his legs blown off in combat, that's where Matt Walsh says, not on my dime, brother.
All right.
And I got to tell you guys, there's very, very rarely anything on social media that actually pisses me off. But
well, yeah. I mean, for me, I find it pissed off. I find it, most of the stuff I find amusing or funny. But again, this is starting to get to the point that some of these approaches to actual outcomes, actual things, we are now being propagandized. We've been it before, but now I'm starting to see people that I never thought would have been have these, low IQ approaches are starting to have them. Matt Walsh, although I don't like him, and he's not the brightest ball. Well, I never thought he was this dumb, right? I want to be fair, right? I mean, I understand that you can have different opinions on things and stuff like that. But this approach here is just, I'm seeing it more and more and more since it was brought to my attention when I start to see this stuff, that we are truly reaching into a low level of concepting and understanding things. Comprehension and understanding things.
We got that for you, because it turns out over at the Daily Wire, shocker, Ben Shapiro's personal little whipping boy, Matt Walsh, decided to take time out of his very busy schedule of sitting in the hotel corner chair being the world's biggest cuck to make some pretty insane statements that he actually believes that
Again, you're welcome to call in if you disagree with my statements on this. Like, if you disagree and believe something different, I'll listen. But the problem is this is kind of how it works here. And some people get upset when I don't let the callers just keep going on and on and on and on, and I hang up. The problem is if you're going to, couple things. If you're going to filibuster, and filibustering means stuff like, hey, you ask me a question, I try to answer the question, and before you let me finish the question, you start just talking over the top of me or asking more and more questions. That's one thing that happens. Or if you're going to put out a bunch of disinformation, right? I'm not just going to let you roll down a disinformation landslide and throw out 17 different things that just aren't true. I'm going to have to stop you and say, wait. You just said this. Let's go over this, right? I mean, that's fair. And if you can't back that statement with anything other than more lies or more filibustering, I don't have time for you. I got to keep the show moving, and there's just no need for me to sit here and listen to it. So that's the only thing. But besides that, I've had conversations. I had good conversation with people that don't agree with me. There was, like I said, things like that. But I just can't. I'm just not going to do that anymore. It's just a waste of my time.
Most fraud being committed in the United States is not by Somali daycare owners. It's by disabled veterans.
Now it's by disabled veterans are committing the most fraud.
Yes, theater kid Matt Walsh.
Now remember, when I started this conversation, I was in a Discord conversation. I was going back and forth. And I brought up something that was too extreme for them to process. They can't say that. You know, because I said, you know, in regards to just throwing out there must be fraud because there's fraud, because I feel there's fraud. And then I said, well, you must be a PDF file because I just think you are. And that's not okay either. And that wasn't done. So eventually we got back to the point of, hey, somebody was in the chat that was a disabled combat vet, who I really believe was, to be honest. But for me to kind of show the problem of just having this low IQ approach, I said that he was committing fraud. And he had stolen valor, which I know he didn't, but it was easy for me to and they all got pissed. I proved my point that once I used that as an example, they got all pissed off and I wasn't able to do that. And that was wrong. Now Matt Walsh is doing the same thing. So now I want to see if they're just as fired up at Matt Walsh doing it as they were when I did it as an example when Matt Walsh is actually doing it. So that's kind of okay.
Walsh, who never served a day in his life, is now taking up the mantle of bringing down these disabled veteran fraudsters, because Matt believes just because you had your legs blown off in combat, if you're still able to work, you shouldn't be entitled to disabled benefits. So that's what
right, 100%. Unable to work was Matt Walsh's statement.
we're going to talk about today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Now,
yeah, do me a favor. Hit the like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and, well, you can't really comment. You're already commenting. But if you do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I really appreciate it.
let's jump into this and see what this pencil-neck fucking dork had to say about disabled veterans. So how'd this whole thing
Again, I have listened to Matt Walsh, and there's some things that I'm not just the one that disagrees and says everything he says. No, I have listened to Matt Walsh before, and he has said some stuff that I believe is his opinion, but at least I understand where he's getting that from, and he can defend that position because of things that, you know, he has done some research on. That's fair. When you approach something with absolutely no research, and you can't defend the position, and you just say this when it is easily proven not to be true, that's a low IQ approach. You're in your feelings. Not your emotions, you're in your feelings.
Yes, so it turns out Matt Walsh decided to attack Graham Plattner, senator candidate from Maine, not for being a Democrat, not for his policies, but Matt's big issue with Graham.
Now remember, he's from Maine, so this is another reason that's popped up in my feed, is that he's technically attacking Graham Plattner from Maine, who's running against Susan Collins.
Graham Plattner, senator candidate from Maine, not for being a Democrat, not for his policies, but Matt's big issue with Graham is that he's a 100% disabled veteran. Yes, Graham Plattner, who served 4 combat tours in the Marine Corps in Afghanistan and Iraq. Yes,
4 combat tours as a Marine. He wasn't on duty at the White House opening the door for the president. He served 4 combat in Afghanistan and Iraq as a Marine. Got it.
Matt Walsh believes
combat
is the biggest problem in this country. Let's take a walk.
Yeah, he's the problem.
So take, for example, the curious case of Graham Plattner, who's running for the Democrat Party's nomination for U.S. Senate in Maine. And Plattner is best known as the guy with the Nazi tattoo, who supposedly didn't realize it was a Nazi tattoo. But what's interesting about Plattner is not the tattoo. What's interesting about him is that, as of now, he has a disability rating.
Now, again, if he was going to go after the tattoo, if he was going to go after his policies, that stuff, fair enough. Okay?
Of 100.
That is an opinion position. Policies is a opinion position. Tattoos, opinion position.
100% from the Department of Veterans Affairs. But what's interesting about Plattner is not the tattoo.
Not the tattoo.
What's interesting about him is that, as of now, he has a disability rating of 100% from the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Now, he has a disability rating of 100% from the VA, not from Social Security, from the VA. 2 different things.
Which stems from his deployment to Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, publicly, Plattner has said that these benefits amount to roughly $5,000 a month, or about $60,000 a year. Now,
approximately, that's probably, like I said, that could be the medical benefits, the money, things like that.
Now, wait a minute, you might say. 100% disability. How can someone who is 100% disabled, to the point that they receive a substantial amount of cash every year from the taxpayer, possibly serve as a U.S. senator?
Well, Matt,
well, first of all, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and they might not all be combat disabled, but right now, currently, I can point out a lot of senators and of Congress people that I would consider them disabled, mentally challenged. No, that's just me. That's just me. Again, I understand. But I'm telling you, if y'all think about it, there's got to be some Congress people, House and Senate, that you believe are disabled. I'm not going to use the R word, but I'm just saying. So obviously that proves you could be a senator or a congressman and be disabled in your own right.
Let me explain it to you since you couldn't have taken 10 seconds out of your fucking day to not embarrass yourself. The way military and VA disability compensation works is not stating that if you're 100% disabled, that means you're literally a vegetable. It's a rating scale for the math that works in compensating the veteran for the damage done to his mind, body, brain, and psychology during service.
Oh, this person must have did something like look up the laws, do research, high IQ approach in regards to actually determining, hey, it's a rating system we have as members of the military or ex-members of the military, meaning we went through boot camp, we went, and we did our tour, whatever that is, in regards to the years that we were in, and what damage was done because of that I am never going to get this back. I'm never going to get this back. It could be Agent Orange. It could be my shoulder. It could be the mental trauma where you can't function in society without panic attacks or post-traumatic stress. That is how the disabled rating works.
Okay, so as a disabled veteran myself, let me explain some of the types of things you may be compensated for. Like I had both my shoulders completely reconstructed after a military freefall in Army Special Forces halo jump. That left me having to have both of my biceps reattached to my pectoral muscles because my labrums were gone. I'm gonna have my labrums rebuilt with metal rods and anchors. I had to have my AC joints opened up, reattached. My rotator cuffs had to be fixed as well. Multiple back surgeries, multiple knee surgeries, and that's just some basic orthopedic stuff I had to be done.
Now, he could get older and be a crippled because of all this stuff. And that was something that happened while in the military. You guys have workman's comp, or you've heard of workman's comp, right? If you're hurt on there. This is like a military's aspect, because you can't sue for workman's comp. But the military, because we did something that only a small percentage of people do, join the military and serve, we can be compensated when we're hurt because of that. And serving our country, when Republicans say we should do more for the vets, and then they come out and they say we should do less for the vets, right?
Have to deal with those injuries for the rest of my life. Yes, I can't go out and do the things that I wish I could do with my kids anymore because I paid the physical price, much like my brothers and sisters did across the entire military in their time, especially in the global war on terror. But this goes back to even the Vietnam War. Yes, my dad, who just had a stroke this year, has had multiple quadruple bypass surgeries on his heart, all due to Agent Orange. Most of his friends have all died from cancer at this point. So you're not only being compensated for the damage done to your mind, body, and brain, but for the typically decades that are taken off your life as well as a combat veteran.
Didn't think about that. Yeah, a lot of them that have the Agent Orange, or they did burn pits. Like, they burnt a lot of shit over there, and they breathed that in. And that's what some of the PACT Act is like, oh, shit, we probably shouldn't have had you breathing all those chemicals and all that shit into your lungs while burning everything over there. Shit, that's a bad thing. So a lot of vets now might live shorter lives or get cancer or stuff like this because of decisions that were made by the military to burn a bunch of shit. Burn pits was a big factor to the PACT Act.
And Matt Walsh, you've never served a fucking day in your life. What would you know? What would you know about what Graham Plattner has to deal with? Probably with pretty substantial PTSD from 4 combat deployments in the Marine Corps in Iraq and Afghanistan. You wouldn't have any fucking clue what veterans have to deal with. So why is Matt Walsh actually attacking Graham Plattner? Well,
low IQ approach, right? Because if all Matt Walsh would have had to do is say, well, and he doesn't even have to do it. He has people to do it. Hey, does he really get this much? Yeah. Tell me why he can get this much. Look this up and brief me on this before I do this video. Before I get in my feelings rather than my facts. Look this up and tell me why he can get this money. But Matt did watch another video, or 30 seconds of another video, and was kind of pissed off, I guess, maybe, that she was a disabled. Now, I have no idea what her medical record is.
Answer's pretty easy when we look into it. Yes, let's head on over to APAC Tracker and see what we got. Oh, well, look at that. Graham Plattner, $0 from APAC. Very, very critical of our greatest out.
Thank you so much for the description.
Why? And we already know when Ben Shapiro cracks the whip, the best little Shabbos goy, Matt Walsh, jumps in line.
Matt Walsh, you're such a good little Shabbos goy. No, I'm a man.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll be honest with you. I
beard
can't
and I
read.
wear a flannel shirt.
If Fuentes can be brought up as a point, that's bad.
I'm a man. But when the Jews crack the whip.
That's bad. I was going to play this,
Get
but
back
I'm
to
too
work,
pissed
Matt
off.
Walsh. Get back
Phones
to-
are on. Phones are
His
on.
number 856-600-4654. Sage Outcast. I have questions.
I do. Phones are
Do
on.
not criticize Israel.
If you disagree with me, the phones are on.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Ben Shapiro.
And we'll start attacking who he's supposed to attack.
Like, what does the term 100% mean? Because when I hear that, I think, oh, totally disabled.
Oh, what does the term 100% mean? That means totally disabled. I have an idea for you, Matt. Get off the low IQ and go research it. Go ask someone to research it for you. Google it. AI it. Just look into military disability benefits.
Yeah, because I just told you, you didn't do 10 seconds to research to actually look up what VA disability actually means. Now you've been enlightened.
Like, you are not able to do anything.
No, that's not true. It's not able.
And yet you can serve as a U.S. senator?
Also, what is a U.S. senator's job? To sit in a fucking chair and cast votes?
True. I mean, to be completely honest, true.
Yeah, why don't you relax, guy?
But for that matter, he also continues to work as an oyster farmer and harbor master.
I don't know if it's oyster farmer. Oyster fisherman? I don't think it's a farmer. Do we plant oysters in the ground that I'm unaware of? I know I was in the Coast Guard, but I don't remember hitting any farms looking for oysters, and issuing any, I don't know. Maybe it's oyster farmer. I don't know. Maybe.
How does he do that?
And I don't think he's an oyster. I think he's a lobster fisherman, to be honest. But I can look into that.
If he's 100% disabled.
Oh, Matt Walsh doesn't understand.
And a harbor master. And a harbor master kind of is the, they do a little bit. They do some law enforcement in the harbors, just within the harbor. They can assist boats and things like that. Harbor master has a jurisdiction, like I said, within the harbor. Like we had a harbor master in Gloucester that would call us for assistance, or we would assist them. If you're whipping through a harbor, and it's, no wake zone, and you're hammering down, producing a wake, they're going to be the ones that are going to go write you a ticket, things like that.
How could somebody that's classified as disabled in the military still work? How could they do it? How could they have a job? Matt, do you know how many of my friends have blown off legs that are working? Yeah, it turns out they still want to have purpose in life. They still want to actually contribute to society, but they deal with very, very real problems. And that little bit of disabled benefits that they get actually does help their family get by, because there's a lot of added expenses that you wouldn't realize that go into.
Oyster rancher, maybe. Wrangler. Oyster wrangler. Is it an oyster farmer? That could be true.
Dealing with all of these psychological and
we never did oysters, so that could be true. But I think he's a lobsterman, to be completely honest.
Physical injuries. And I'll show you one of our friends. So yes, Matt, this is a man named Nick the Machine Lavery, who most of my viewers are already going to know. But Matt, why don't you take a look at Nick here? You see, Nick is actually the first Green Beret with an above-the-knee amputation to not only continue to serve in the U.S. military, but also deploy back to war and combat. And so while you wouldn't understand...
That's weird. So he's back in combat and still lost above-the-knee amputation of his leg. Well, yeah, but that's not...
this, Matt, because you never had the courage to sign on the dotted line and serve your nation like the people you're complaining about are. But it turns out there are men like this out here. Here's Nick.
If you can't... well, I'm not working. TikTok will be tomorrow. So you can see this.
You going to tell him he's not disabled, Matt? He shouldn't be getting his benefits because he can still be active?
Yeah, he can still be active. He just deadlifted with a tricep bar, with a trap bar. Looks like 2 plates, 3 plates. I don't know, 315, maybe 265, maybe 315. I can't remember. Let's go with 3 plates. Plus the bar. So I'm thinking that would we deny him benefits?
He can still find purpose because he can still manage to work a job. He shouldn't be compensated for what's been done to his body. That's your take? And you know what's really poetic about Matt Walsh complaining about disabled veterans, especially global war on terror disabled veterans? Matt Walsh.
2 former Marines were never deployed to combat, only went overseas to Belgium. Oh, hang on, let me get this. I got it. Thank you for calling the Sage Outcast Show. How may I help you?
Hey, Sage. I just wanted to call in. I used to watch your show quite a bit And it seemed like you got a lot more callers back in the day, but I just wanted to kind of give you, I didn't really have a call for like anything related to the subject, but the phone number that you label on your live, being like a vertical orientation, people can't really see it because it gets covered up by the comments. Just a tip for you.
Oh, that could be a good point. So let me do this. I think I fixed it.
Yeah.
That could be the reason why.
Yeah, I think it's a good subject. People should be calling in. I just think it's covered up. So.
Yeah, and I do appreciate your. Are you a vet or no?
No.
Do you believe that Walsh is correct, or do you believe that we should be? God damn it.
I don't think Walsh is correct, but I do think a parallel can kind of be drawn here.
Sure.
With like welfare and whatnot abroad, as a whole, you can't really make changes to it without punishing the people that really need it.
Sure.
And I think that works for like, that applies for like welfare as well, that there are a lot of people that take advantage of this stuff. And same with the veterans, there's a lot of people that were, yeomen, they were paper pushers or whatever they may have been. And I'm not here to say whether they deserve disability or not, but there are a lot that take advantage of it.
Sure. And I understand that. I just don't
take that away.
Yeah. I just don't understand going after somebody who served 4 tours as a combat Marine and saying he don't deserve it, right? Like if Matt Walsh would have actually done his investigative research and basically said, we found an individual who was charged with this or something like this, and we looked into this and we scanned like actual research and brought someone forward, I could say I could support that. Like a legitimate person who did. Right?
This is coming from somebody who believes in slave labor till the day you die. Ben Shapiro believes you shouldn't have Social Security. You should work till you die. 65's not a thing.
True. But I do appreciate the call. But I was from more front, but I do appreciate the number thing. I think I moved it. So if you can look at your thing now and let me know if it's good.
Yep.
I think it's good. But I do appreciate you calling in, brother. All right. Phone number might have been blocked.
Walsh was born on June 18th, 1986, 1 month before me. And you know what demographic that puts him in American males? Yes, the demographic that could have fought the entire global war on terror. But did Matt Walsh sign up? Did Matt Walsh volunteer to step in the breach and defend his country?
No.
No, he didn't, did he? But he still has the fucking gall to complain about those who did.
If you're capable of becoming a U.S. Senator, and if you're capable of working on a boat for a living, then you are not 100% disabled, and you don't need $60,000 from the taxpayer on account of your disability.
Again, disability that's measured in regards to the military aspect goes on 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And the disability is not based on can I work. Social Security ability is, like you can only, if you start to work, they'll take your benefits away, things like that. Military, they don't take it away. Like, if somebody works, if I'm receiving 20% disability for my shoulder, if that's what the outcome is, and I can still show that I can still work, which I can, obviously, because I'm a freight broker, I'm an insurance producer in regards to commercial insurance. I can still work. The problem is that this was my shoulder, proper use of my shoulder was taken away from me while serving in the United States military, in the United States Coast Guard. And that is something that veterans should be, because of what they did for all of us serving, that should be something that should be taken care of. Right? I mean, wouldn't you guys think so? Like, when I hear a lot of anybody, Republicans or Democrats, basically say we should take care of our vets, and then they say, well, you shouldn't be getting this money, that 100% disability might be the fact that he has to work alone. Like, there are people that I know that can do a job by themselves, but can't interact with people because of post-traumatic stress. They just can't. Because of the anger issues, rage issues, paranoia, things like that, they can't interact with people. And that was something that they were fine going in. They went through a ton of situations, and those situations put them in that position. So now they're limited to the job that they can do. Now, a harbor master is a job that technically he does by himself. Lobster fisherman or oyster farmer or whatever, if that's what he is. I can't remember. For some reason, maybe he used to be a lobster fisherman. Anyways, that's something he does by himself, but he can't do a job anymore. So that's also a possibility. That's also being disabled, right? The post-traumatic stress of dealing with some of the situations. And the problem is that a lot of vets, here's the problem that I also have with this, which not a lot of people are talking about, okay? A lot of vets believe that they don't deserve the money they deserve. So people like Matt Walsh coming out and saying, you can still work, you can still do this, you can still do that. You're going to have a lot of vets that should be coming and talking to people and getting disability money for that. Interacting with proper therapy, and that means mental therapy and physical therapy. And you're going to have people like Matt Walsh that are going to come out that are going to make it harder for vets to come forward and interact the way they need to get proper help. Because a lot of vets go years and years thinking to myself, well, it's fine. It's, like me, it's fine. My shoulder's fine. I'm, it hurts a little bit, but man up and just deal with it, right? So you're going to have a lot of other vets that deal with post-traumatic stress, that they look at vets that have their legs shot off or lost limbs, and they're like, well, I don't deserve it. He deserves it because I still have all my limbs. And it's survivor's guilt that drives them to not get the proper help they need or the finances they need because they do have issues that need to be looked at. And that is, thank you so much for subscribing. That is something that is worse that Matt Walsh is doing by alienating people and looking at it saying, yeah, I don't want to be known as that guy. Getting this money, even though technically, I still have my limbs. And this is the conversations that I wish people like Matt Walsh would not have the low IQ approach and actually look into this stuff, because that's what's truly damaging. That is more damaging, I believe, in this situation, is you are using propaganda or guilt or lack of actual proof or evidence to make it where people who should be getting help will no longer get help because of the stigmata that they believe from survivor's guilt. And that's a problem. That's a problem we have.
Hey, pussy boy, let me explain why the VA disability system has been changed to what it is now to make sure that veterans are being taken care of. Because what you have...
Hang on. I'll get the phone. I'll get it. My personal assistant is out from answering the phone. Hello, thank you for going to the Sage Outcast Show. How may I indirectly direct your direct call?
Hey, Sage, can you hear me all right?
I can.
Okay, hey, I've been listening to your show for quite a few months now, just kind of taking the opportunity. This is the first time I kind of disagreed with you here.
Okay.
A little bit on this military disability.
Sure.
I just kind of think that you guys are kind of you and the jacked military guy you're watching the video of are kind of taking some extreme scenarios, and I don't really see a problem with amputees or people that cannot be around anyone else to be collecting some sort of disability. But in my personal experience, I seem to see a lot more of the kind of taking advantage of the situation happening than the extremes that are brought up there.
So are you a vet, just so I know?
No.
Okay. So when you look at these people, do you know their medical records in regards to what they're getting disability for?
Yeah, the several people I'm thinking about in my head, I've known them for decades.
So do you understand what they're actually going through and what they're getting the disability for?
Sure.
Okay.
At least what they claim to me.
Okay.
I don't have access to their medical records, but from what they tell me...
Well, they could have been family members, so I'm not being a jerk about it. I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? They could have been family. Oh, hang on. Lost my earpiece. I wasn't being a jerk about it. I'm just actually asking if you actually know or if you're just... Okay.
Sure.
So what do you believe? So if I lost a limb I should be able to get disability, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if I breathed in burn pit smoke and ended up getting like lung problems in the future, can I get disability for that?
Yeah, sure.
So let me do it this way: what should they not get disability for?
I kind of, and it's hard to say this, but I kind of agree with Matt Walsh, and I'll go to your shoulder kind of scenario you've been talking about.
Okay.
Where if you have a shoulder injury, but you're able to be a car mechanic, that rings alarm bells to me.
So, okay, yeah. So,
I mean, I don't really know you very well. I just watched the show, and I know you're kind of somewhat of a off the grid kind of farmer kind of guy. So,
sure.
I mean, you're able to do all that. So
if I do that in pain, and that pain was caused by something that happened to me in the military, should I be able to? Like I said, you get workman's comp if you get hurt on the job, right?
Well, I think that's way more difficult. I think I've been hurt on the job. I'm 40 years old now, and I suffer from the work I did in my 20s. But I'm not going to get paid for any of that.
Well, in theory, you could claim disability, right?
In theory, but the chances of collecting on that is nil, especially compared to a military service member. They have better records and everything, so maybe that helps them out. But no, I don't believe that I could collect from something that happened to me 20 years ago from working.
So, but you do realize it's almost the same process in regards to proving it.
I'd have a hard time believing that.
Well,
I mean,
what
the
makes you
process
think
may be the same, but I think the approval stamp that you're waiting on at the end is a lot easier in terms of military members compared to civilians.
Nope. That's why we have. If you were to Google this and look this up, that's why we have so many people that need technically VA lawyers to fight this because they get denied. I know somebody that was fighting for it as a combat. Will Bird, as a combat vet, fought for this for 15 years. He fought for it for 15 years. I can pull his show up if you wanted to try to get his disability. So it is not. I alone just said that for me to get just my shoulder done, they're going to pull all of my records from when I was in the surgery that I had while I was at the hospital in Massachusetts. I still have to go down to the VA and get another MRI and have their doctors look at it. I'm going to have to go in front of boards, and a board's going to have to decide the percentage that I get based on after talking to the doctors, seeing you're not going to get an X-ray, you're going to do an MRI. After getting the MRIs and everything else, like the procedure for me to try to get this, just for me to get 20% for something that was done to me while in the military, it's not easy. I can't even go to my local hospital to get this done. I have to travel 90 miles one way to go to a VA hospital to get this done, which I can't because my wife can't leave, and I can't go by myself with her here. So I have to then fight to prove with her medical records why she can't leave, and I can't go without her. So I'm telling you from actual experience how difficult it is myself.
Sure. And I have actual experience too. I've tried to file workman's comp, and you get shut down at the door, and maybe you definitely it helps that the VA has some resources. When your company that you're fighting against is your only resource, it's near impossible. But I mean, I can just take a look at the numbers, and it's all difficult, and maybe it all should be a little easier for everybody that is experiencing problems.
No, we're not asking for it to be easier.
Look at the numbers. The military members are collecting on disability at a way higher rate than civilians are.
Well, yeah, because we do way higher things than a civilian does.
Well, sure, but maybe a military man is doing way more than an accountant, but there's a big chunk. I'm not even going to say majority. I don't know, but there's a lot of hard-working people out here that are doing military level work and having military level impacts on their body. and they're not collecting the disability at the rate the military members are.
You do realize you can distinguish the difference between somebody who's served in the military rather than a car mechanic, correct? Like
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, when somebody joins the military and they sign up for the military, they're going to serve their country for fairly little money. They go through 12. Well, I don't know all boot camps, but I went through 12 weeks of boot camp where they literally kind of beat the crap out of you, and then members that go overseas to fight in combat are literally beat the crap out of, pretty much on a daily basis. And they do that to defend you.
That job isn't tough. The job is definitely tough, and it's definitely on the tougher side if we had a scale of easy jobs to tough jobs.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I'm not trying to bash on military members.
No, I know you're not. I understand. I understand. I'm not trying to say you're going to bash. I'm just trying to establish,
I'm just trying to kind of point out what I see from the numbers as just a lay person calling in a Sage Outcast show here. And, you know, military is tough. Is 4 years of military tougher than 40 years of logging or 40 years of garbage pickup?
It could be.
There's lots of tough jobs out there, and I just named only a couple.
Yeah, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes, it could be. Yes. The answer is yes, it could be. You're not jumping out of airplanes. You're not running. You're not carrying 80-pound rucksacks. You're not while carrying weapons while being shot at, watching people die in front of you. Yes, it absolutely could be harder than a logger. Yes.
It absolutely could be, but the numbers of the people collecting on the disability is...
What are the numbers?
Is way higher. The numbers in what? Military members
Well, you keep saying
disability?
the numbers are way higher. So my question to you is, what is the numbers?
The numbers of military members collecting disability, you're asking?
Yeah, what are the numbers?
I believe it's 25%.
25% of what percentage of that join the military?
25% of military members are collecting disability.
Correct. What percentage of people join the military?
Oh, I'd have to imagine it's around 1.
Okay, so 25% of 1% is your basis that you see how? Hang on.
But, I mean, if you just want to compare one job to one job, I mean,
we're not comparing one job to one job. We're not comparing one job to one job. What I'm trying to say, this is what happens sometimes when
the conversation. If we do, if I compare, I'd say it's probably about the same percentage of people that join the military that become garbage men.
No.
Can we agree on that?
That could become garbage men? No, I would think that it would be higher garbage men.
You think there's been more
over the
garbage
years?
men than
yes
military members?
Yeah, but if you're saying 25%, well, if we were to say, then my question would be, what's the percentage of garbage men who get hurt on the job?
That collect disability? Less than 25%.
No, that get hurt on job for workman's comp and things like that, because we don't have workman's comp in the military. So what you're trying to compare, so my question to you is, what is the percentage of people who get hurt on the job as a garbage man? Shit, I got hurt.
Those numbers aren't really easily accessible.
Okay. So the problem I'm having is that when we throw numbers of 25% of people that have in the military, that's, to me, if you're in the military and 25% are collecting some type of disability, I'm okay with that number. We should be paying 25% of the people disability, because 25% of the people that they went and did something and got hurt, that only 1% of the population was willing to do to defend our country, I'm okay with that number. I believe we should be paying people that if only 25, so 75% are not claiming disability. So
and I'd be okay with the number. The number is not the 25 that bothers me. It's the compared to the civilian population.
Yeah, but you can't compare it to the civilian population. I would never compare life in the military to the civilian. I would not compare it.
If the numbers were 25% of military and 15% or 20% of civilian, then it's a closer number. But the numbers for civilian are just so much drastically lower.
Yes, because civilians are not doing what the military does. Like, I can't compare it to I can't compare it. You can't compare apples to oranges. Like, you can't say 25% of people in the military are hurt. That means 75% of the military is not. That's a pretty good ratio compared to what you do in boot camp alone.
And unfortunately, I don't have the numbers of blue-collar workers. I'll just use the term blue-collar as the, they obviously don't have jobs that are as debilitating as military four-year career. But I think that there's a good chunk of that is pretty debilitating, especially when it's a lot longer than a four-year career. So it's just the numbers raise eyebrows, and I think if we had all the numbers available, I think you might kind of question a little more. Unfortunately, I don't have every number of
no, but you keep comparing something that's
the few numbers I have seen. They're just kind of shocking, and in like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, in my personal experience, I've seen this happen more than I guess I'll call it welfare fraud. And just comparing fraud to fraud, or
okay. So let me blue-collared workers comparison, roughly 27% of the U.S. workers, but are heavily represented in disability stats. They sustain 68.5% of all bed disability days and 67% of all work loss days associated with it. So that's
what
higher.
The number that's really comparable to the stat that I brought up is what percentage of those blue-collar workers are on disability?
Disability breakdown. Long-term disability, 28% of blue-collar. I'll put it on screen.
I'm not watching. I don't want to mess up. This is my first time ever calling anybody
no
on the
problem.
line.
I'm just saying, 28% of blue-collar workers are eligible for long-term disability benefits. 28%.
And when you say eligible for disability, that means they're on disability?
No, that means they're eligible. They're eligible for getting it. So that could mean on or they're eligible, meaning they would get it if they put in for it. Eligible. So 28% of blue-collar workers are eligible for long-term disability, which is significantly lower than the 62% of professional and technical employees. So 28%.
And what percentage of military is eligible?
I have no idea. I'd have to look that up. Depends on what your thing is. You just said 25% are on it. I mean, if they're eligible, all of them are. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's probably 100%, right?
I wouldn't say 100. No. You're not 100% are eligible. 100% are eligible if they get hurt, but not. Wait a minute. Hang on. You brought up the numbers and you said how many comparable. I just read it to you that just over 28% were eligible for long term. That means they got it. They were eligible. They got something.
Well, no, you said eligible doesn't mean they got it. You said eligible means they could get it.
Well, you can't be eligible unless you can't be eligible.
That goes back to my previous statement of getting the stamp is...
they are getting the stamp. They're eligible. So they've put in for it, and they're getting benefits. They're eligible. You don't become eligible just because you're working a blue-collar job. For you to be eligible for disability benefits means you've applied for the paperwork and it's come back as yes. You are now eligible to receive. So yes, the answer is getting it.
Clarifying, it's just your previous statement was that eligible meant you could get it, not that you are getting it.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you put in for it, and it doesn't mean, so I don't know, I can't say 100% that they've taken the money at this moment, but they've put in for the process. They're eligible to receive it. And they're, at this point, they're basically would be hitting their bank accounts. So 28% of blue-collared workers. So 25% of people that are in the military compared to what you do in the military, because remember, disability in the military also has post-traumatic stress connected to it. Right?
Sure.
Okay. So 9 times out of 10, eligibility for blue-collared workers don't have disability connected to it. So in regards to the comparison, see, when you look at the numbers, when you actually look up the numbers, it kind of says, oh, damn, maybe that's not so bad. I don't think that's that bad. If you gave me 25%, so we're going to go on that number. If 25% is receiving benefits in the military for a job that relates to you took something from me, you being in the military that I'm never going to get back, right? Like now remember, I might only get 10 to 20% for my shoulder. That happened. The documentation, I can prove it. I'm still haven't got it yet, and it's been a year. Well, it's been just under a year, and I'm still fighting for it. So I've applied a year ago, and I still haven't gotten anything yet. So it's not easy to get. Will Bird, to get 100% took 15 years. Right? And I've been on his show before. He's Cold Beer Confessional on YouTube. So in regards to I served the country, I did something, no offense to this, that you didn't do. I went and served the country. I did something that only 1% of the population do. I got hurt while doing it. I was able to prove that I was hurt by doing it with documentation, x-rays, MRIs, therapy sessions, whatever, that a doctor signed off for it and said, yeah, it went in front of a board, and a board said, yeah, we'll give him some. That was proven, and then people are like, well, I don't know if they should get it. But the job that a military is doing is not comparable. You're not being shot at as a garbage man. You're not being blown up. Your garbage truck's not being blown up with an explosive device on the road as a garbage man. Well, not yet, but who knows? Minnesota could change things. I don't know. That could be a question we ask in the future. But honestly, so I can't compare a blue-collared worker, to be honest, to somebody who the 12 weeks of boot camp is rough enough, let alone a combat vet that served 4 tours. And the people that you might think shouldn't be getting it because they can continue to work, you don't know what they're actually going through. You don't know the pain that they're actually going through. You don't know what medication they're on. You don't know if it's a mental thing that they don't want to talk about, that they can't handle, that they get to the point that their loved ones, they turn into rage attacks with their loved ones, or they can't sleep at night, and they have to take medication to sleep at night, and they wake up with night terrors. You have no concept of that because they might not want to talk about it with you.
Sure. I agree with most everything you're saying there, and unfortunately, I don't have all the numbers in front of me to kind of continue this on. But the only thing I am kind of thinking about here is just kind of, and I hate going back to Matt Walsh.
Sure.
I can't stand the guy, but I just kind of feel that if because we all have problems, we all shouldn't argue with our wife, and we all have had, or not we all, but some of us have had traumatic experiences that
hang on. I can't let you get down that path because your problems of arguing with your wife is not of a retrospective of what somebody saw while during a combat tour in another country. It is not comparable, and this is where mental post-traumatic stress got pushed off for a long amount of time, and we saw people come back from Vietnam, and we didn't realize, what the hell's going on here? And then we realized that, okay, post-traumatic stress and how the brain interpreted this information from this day on, it's the same like females that are raped, right? The post-traumatic stress from that event is something that we shouldn't say, well, women have rough sex all the time. It's a post-traumatic stress that we now have to look at that and how it's going to affect people in the future. And the reason we do this is that's why a lot of vets don't go and get help and end up in an unaliving situation with a firearm someplace that they could have got mental help before, because and I'm not trying to be a jerk, you can't correlate your understanding of life and anger and frustration with somebody that served for combat and interacted their life experiences that gave them post-traumatic stress. That's a bad decision, a bad road to go down. I don't look at somebody, I did not, in the Coast Guard, I don't have post-traumatic stress from a lot of things that I'm finding out that I do have post-traumatic stress from pulling children's bodies out of the water and bringing them back to their parents. It's something that you can't process how that affected me. I couldn't even process it until it was brought to my attention. Now, you can't say, well, we shouldn't fight with our wives compared to somebody who's dealing with paranoia and anxiety and other aspects because an IAD went off and blew their their brother's leg, they're not physical brother, but brothers in arms, body apart where their blood shattered onto them. You can't compare them to. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but you can't. And that's a wrong road to go down for somebody, because then you're not understanding how post-traumatic stress works, to be honest. And it's not a fair interpretation from. I wouldn't make that leap. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
Just to be fair with you.
So I appreciate you taking my call.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for. I agree with you a little more. So.
And I do believe that if there's fraud, legitimate fraud, and can be proven it's fraud, we should jump on those people, 100%. If you can prove it was legitimate fraud, right? But what we can't do is Matt Walsh can't do, and I won't do, is this goes in front of a board and is seen by doctors and seen by professionals, and there's medical records to back it up and prove it. And if that's provable, then they should get what they deserve. If it's not provable, it should get turned down. And if there's true fraud in it, then let's go after those people with evidence, facts of the fraud, not just attack the system, and like Matt Walsh is doing. Because it's going to make it harder for people that want to come forward, who need to come forward, who should come forward for their mental health alone, to come forward because of the stigmata we're putting back on this situation, where we worked really hard to get rid of that stigmata so that could get mental help, just for the fact that we don't want them grabbing their firearm and unaliving themselves or other people, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. We need a better system to take care of people in general. And I just, the military is kind of a good first step, but it needs to be, I guess the system should be broadened.
Sure, and I'm cool with bringing forward and saying this worked, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. What I don't want is people like Matt Walsh saying, well, nobody ever looks into this, there's no checks on this, it's just free money the minute you say it hurt. That's not true. And what I don't want is that narrative being pushed out there when it's not true. Now, there's a narrative that, hey, we need to look at this, we need to look at this, we need to make it easier for people who we believe could have post-traumatic stress. We need to get them therapy quickly rather than make them work for it. Things like that, because that would benefit all of us, to be completely honest. Any of us people who might have had firearms that we lost in a boating accident. You hear me? I lost all my weapons in a boating accident. I don't want the narrative to be pull them. I want them to be fix people who need the help, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But I appreciate your call, brother, and I think there's been a great conversation.
Opportunity to call in. I agree with you 99% of the time. Love the show.
And
Thanks,
that's cool. I love the fact that you called in on this, and I do respect your opinion. It's just hard to see from the outside looking in to other people's struggles that they're going through, because they might want a lot of them in the military. They're not going to talk about it with you because they just don't want to. You know what I mean? It makes them a weaker man. So it's hard to understand, but they do need help. But I do appreciate the call, brother.
Yep. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, that being said, this one was a big, and I do appreciate everybody else who called in, but I normally go at 10 o'clock. This was one that I did want to cover because, like I said, it was funny because I had a conversation with somebody in Discord where I basically accused them of faking their disability, not knowing this Matt Walsh thing was going to come out a week later or 2 weeks later. I had no idea. But I went just to prove a point that we can't just do this and say, I feel you shouldn't have disability, and you shouldn't have disability. My approach was there needs to be a high IQ approach to things, meaning research and stuff like that. And what I don't want to do is create another stigmata that people are getting benefits when they don't deserve benefits, because you're going to alienate the people that really need the benefits, that already have survivor's guilt. And that is something that I don't think people truly understand the dangers of that. People will go a long time when they need both either mental help or physical help because of the stigmata of getting it. Because of vets, like I said, for the longest time, vets, I'm fine. Look at me with my shoulder. Now, again, I'm putting in for it because it was damaged and it's getting worse and things like that. Am I going to get 100%? Probably not. But it was documented and proved, and I'm still fighting for it. It's like, what? You have all the documentation. Like, you literally have everything. I just have to go to the doctor to an MRI and just prove that I didn't tear it again, which I didn't. And you just have to look and see if there's, scar tissue there that is actually where the pain's coming from, that can either be fixed or nope, can't be fixed. And here's your 10, 20%, whichever the guy left. I don't know. No, and I do appreciate the caller. I really do. And I appreciate his opinion. And that's the discourse I do want to have. But I just have to be careful because I don't want when he started to go down the road that we all fight with our wives, it's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. People fight with your wives all the time, and then there's post-traumatic stress that causes anger and rage issues that you don't know where it's coming from, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Why did I just do that? And it's emotions and feelings and stuff that come because of things that you've been through. That being said, I am going to duck out of here. I'm going to, tomorrow will be logistical aspect of things, some trucking stuff. I'll have some stuff I want to talk about. But that being said, I'll see you guys later. I don't know did I set up the end thing? I don't know.
Hello, Sage.
Nope.
This is Cody.
God damn it.
Or how, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Is my name, Cody
I don't
or Colby? I'm not really sure. So,
do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe to the channel, share this out. Appreciate y'all being here.
internally,
Appreciate the phone calls.
hang on a second. God damn it. I'm trying to, wait a minute.
The phone did ring more when I moved that up, so that could have been a problem. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, brother.
All right, give me a call back. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Sage.
What?
I'm sorry.
I know.
Please don't record this.